Hi everyone. So this is interesting. This is my first YouTube live. I usually just record it somewhere else on Zoom or whatever, and I put it out here. So this definitely, I see this as a sign of progress of undoing emotional repression and all these patterns from childhood of holding back and of hiding and of trying to look good and trying to please and trying to be different and whatever. So yeah, I this will be like a part 4 on a series of videos that I made recently called Non-Duality and Emotional Repression, Memoirs of a Sadness Repressor, which was me. And yeah, if you see this now like this, check the other ones. And actually, I decided to change the title because I changed it to Memoirs of a Recovering Sadness Repressor, because I don't feel I'm a sadness repressor anymore, because I've been feeling a lot of sadness and all kind of painful, terrible emotions that all my life I try not to feel. So I'm totally on the recovering path. And yeah. All right. So I just wanted to also, as I mentioned before, as a therapist, I'm a therapist, a somatic therapist associate, and doing the circle of being, shadow work groups, intensive, various things. And I'm very comfortable doing videos where I'm in control. Let's say I'm teaching or educating or processing or guided meditation. So this is like a edgy series for me, where I would, although also in my groups, I'm pretty comfortable sharing vulnerably about myself and sharing about my sinful nature, and not in a religious way, but all of this ego stuff and patterns, things that usually we tend to want to hide out of shame and fear of being judged and all of that. So although I was pretty open in close control group, it's very edgy, the previous few videos, and yeah, each time I would have like some part of me would be like, man, that's too much, that's anyway. So I guess fear of being judged, fear of irrational fear, and sense of vulnerability. So but it feels good, and also it seems like it helps people. It definitely helped me to do that, because I was going for a really, really crunchy time, and I'm still going for it. So I wanted to say something. So after those 3 messages, 3 emails, 3 YouTubes, people that I knew or people I work with or clients or friends, they came to me. They would be like, "Oh man, are you okay? Man, I feel for you. It's sad." And like, anyway, I got quite a bit of messages where people were very concerned and lovingly caring for me, and like a little bit shocked. And anyway, so I realized that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Also, some people were like, dude, I see that you're saying that you are stuck in the snow, you are alone and afraid in the dark, in the car. And like a bunch of people try to help me out, practically speaking. So I appreciate that too very much. So I just want to clear something up. Yeah. So I'm totally safe. I I'm still hiding from snow and all of that, but I'm really comfortable with friends. I have a good car. I have money to buy food and do stuff, to buy gas. I can travel. So I'm really in a privileged position. There are so many people struggling and really heartbreaking stuff. So I'm totally good. Yeah, I just want to say that. Now, from the emotional point of view, maybe that in those videos, they're taken out of moment in time, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So you guys may think that, dude, this guy is like suffering terribly and all of that. And yes, I am. But I am also very good. Each time I do these videos, and each time what I don't put out here on YouTube is that self-facilitation using somatic processing, using the Kiloby inquiry method. I'm doing that on my own. That is even more edgy, more intense, crying like a baby, wailing, processing trauma by myself. I also have, which I recommend for everybody, especially people interested in KI, Kiloby inquiries, to work with someone. For deep trauma repression stuff, it's good to work with someone. So I went to a friend of mine, a great facilitator. Everybody there on the Kiloby site is awesome, high quality of facilitation. So I worked with someone, with Darby, and she is highly skilled and highly loving and wise. And so I did a bunch of sessions with her where went really deep in painful childhood baby, the stuff that I avoided all my life and all of that. So, but each time I do this, it clears, and then I'm happy. I'm full of energy. I'm living fully. I'm at peace. My mind is clear. I'm good. So what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not wallowing in it all day. Actually, for me, I'm very proud of myself that I'm not pushing it down anymore. So, and I can have like 10, 15, 20 minutes of intentionally going into it. Like even today, I had an interview with Scott Kiloby, and then towards the end of the interview, as we talked about these things, I felt in my heart, right, where's this tool, like burning sensations and like fiery, and I know what this is. I know it's like I need to, if I have time, and I had time to go and do some self-processing, and I go into sadness, loss, and it goes into trauma, and I end up fucking like wailing and wailing for maybe 12 minutes, and then it subsides, and then I'm like, I'm great. Yeah. So I'm doing very good, and in spite of what you guys see frozen in time, I'm doing very good. Yeah. So thank you for your love and concerns. Also, another friend was saying that, wow, man, I see you going through all this sadness, and like, I don't want to go there myself because I feel like I go into self-pity, and I'm in self-pity, and I'm just letting it go and going into presence, just be here now. And so anyway, my point is that I'm not wallowing in self-pity. No, my mind is clear. I'm very present. There's this pain, current pain, sadness, loss, loneliness, human emotions. Underneath is trauma, terror, anguish, despair, deep loneliness. this is not, I'm not wallowing in it. I'm not self-pity. So I'm actually part of the work of embodiment, of liberating from suffering, is to feel fully, to feel it fully from awareness. Yeah. Um, so that is a, yeah, that's, if I'm not doing that, I would be suppressing it. I would be repressing it, as I've done all my life, and all the issues connected with doing that will persist. So um, also, what earlier, as these things in my life, let's say I became a therapist and I started to do psychedelic assisted psychotherapy on myself, and my system started to get more unclogged, and all these attachment wounds and all of this stuff would start to come up in me. So I was feeling them, but I didn't have the right guidance to process them skillfully. So I would resist them, meaning that they were here, but that will come also the resistance towards it, like, whoa, what is this? No, let's do something right away. As I said, I would smoke weed, uh, go and see a friend after work. I will go to a movie, or go to a movie and smoke weed, or more refined thing, I will just do a guided meditation, non-dual guided meditation. So, and although in those non-dual guided meditations, they will say, hey, welcome the feeling, welcome it fully, let go trying to change it, let it be as it is, let it devour you, pointers like that, which I appreciated. I couldn't do it. And it's not so easy as it seems, let it devour you. It's not. One needs to be very, very skilled with very, very good methods to allow oneself to be devoured in a way that is safe. So, um, so basically, I will push it back in the box with presence practices and with busyness, the avoidance of feeling, relationships. So you caught up with me, guys. I mean, gradually caught up with me, guys, and so now, if I suppress it, or if I distract myself from it, it's getting bad. It is bad. It is like, it's like I feel it. Something is not right. I can't work with people. I can't function. I can't. It's almost like it's stuck on the pipes, and it's really bad. And basically now, when any sense of tension, contraction, I make time. Sometimes I can't do it right away. So of course I can contain it. Of course I can get it together and pay rent and get gas and do grocery or help a friend or work, do my job. Yeah. But I am coming to it in the night. I'm attending to it later in the evening, or I'm attending to it in the morning. Yeah. That's what's a big difference. And I remember that I was surprised when Scott was telling that. I was like, dude, this guy's enlightened and he still is processing every day. I get it, man. I mean, sometimes things come up and are on your face. And if you're ready for them and you're tired of the suffering of not processing, and if you have support and tools and skills, as I do, then it's much easier to face your worst demons. Much easier. So basically, I want you guys to know that I'm doing very well, and I still wake up in the morning with various degrees of pain body, or in the night, and I'm processing them via what's called third dimension practices, repression, trauma, things which Those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't know, it's hard to explain. But very grateful to Scott Kiloby and this method to safely unearth this deepest sense of our woundedness, my woundedness. Yeah. So I wanted to answer to some of the people that replied to me. So Kathy Overman made a comment that, like, yes, along the lines that when there's a loss of attachment or attachment disruption in childhood, if you are a baby or a toddler or even like a 6, 7, 8, 10-year-old, this is very, very, it evokes a lot of, the younger you are, it's more distressful. I mean, also, if you can imagine, like, let's say being from the mother and putting in a box and staying alone first few years, first few days of for your life. That's not what happened to me, but I know people that this happened to them. This is so the child. The child is in absolute shock, distress, terror, dying. So instead of being, the child needs the nervous system of the mother, we put on the breast into the heartbeats to synchronize. And there's this book, The Continuum Concept, I highly recommend. I think from the 80s, a French therapist was wondering why people in the West are fucked up and fucking their children up. Excuse my French, as they say. And so this lady, she went into, spent 10, 15 years in various tribes, spending all day with them and seeing how they take care of their children at the early stages of development. And so then, as you observe, she figured out why our children are like that, and they are insecure and lack of confidence and anxious. And so developmentally, it's very important for the child to be really close to the mother, not so much to be babied all the time, like, oh, mama, you're so sweet. But so it's more like to be put on the body facing the world somehow. The baby's here. It's almost like a harness. They start to have harnesses these days. The baby is attached to the body of the mother or the father and facing the world, not so much facing all the time the parent, although, of course, this eye contact, scientifically, it like wires the brain neurons of the baby and regulates the nervous system. But it's like the baby is attached to the parent, so there's a safety and stability of the parent, while the parent is facing the world, and the child is learning like this. And so this is necessary to happen for a few years. And if this doesn't happen, this creates a lot of side effects. And if this doesn't happen early, this creates severe trauma that plays out later in a relationship in a way that can play in a way that it develops some extreme clingy neediness, an extreme seeking of fulfillment through relationship, an extreme graspy and like desperation, which, and then when one falls in love, then it feels like, oh yeah, I have arrived. And then there's this temporary fulfillment and yumminess. But this desperation and clinginess, anxious attachment, it's so repelling for the other person. It's so too much that sooner or later one will be rejected, and one will feel again the pain of separation, the aloneness. And so this can manifest like that, or it can manifest in avoiding closeness. I was more like that. And yeah, avoiding closeness, avoiding letting someone into a heart, avoiding closeness because it's dangerous, because then one may lose it again. And of course, these are really unconscious, really. Person can talk, all kind of things, read relationship books, do self-help books, doesn't even scratch the surface of the trauma. So anyway, I recommend this book, The Continuum Concept, especially people wanting to raise children in a more healthy way and to develop a secure sense of attachment. I recommend that. So yes, coming back to Kathy, I totally agree exactly what you're saying. So for the baby and the child, when this attachment disruption is happening, although the baby doesn't have thoughts, it is actually an intense terror, death, loss of secure attachment, feels like death. But in processing later, although the child didn't have thoughts, there is a body-mind connection. So in the later healing and the processing of the trauma, is important to make conscious the thoughts that we didn't have, which would be like, don't go, don't leave me, don't go, I'm afraid, no, I'm afraid, I'm alone, don't go, I'm afraid, don't leave me. These are there in the distress. And actually, if we really want to process skillfully, thoroughly, we need to process the energy, the emotion, and the thought, and the memory skillfully. All right, there was another the House of the Beloved, and she made a comment there that and I can see, I listened to you have a YouTube channel, and I can see just by watching you and your videos that you've done a lot of work, and seems to be like a clear awareness, recognition, and a mystical experience. So this is some type of awakening to the truth, awakening to God, awakening to presence. And why I'm saying that is that people can process feelings or traumas depending on where they're at. Yeah. So usually what happens when one has some type of awakening, then the mind usually gets really quiet. And then a lot of the ego issues and patterns, they diminish, quiet down, and there is an ensuing sense of okayness and peace and stability. So with a person like that, or even like the experiential taste of the divine, which is yummy, the divine as a mystical out there, or the divine as out there and in here, everywhere. And so, yeah, now for people like that, that doesn't necessarily mean that all trauma and all woundedness is all released. It's not. So actually, a person like that, then actually this awakening gives okay to our demons to come up more, our grief, our fears, our unprocessed stuff to come up, because we can handle it. And so that's what I see in your case. And it's good to receive knowledge or information or guidance to know that, hey, just because I have this awakening or mystical divine experience, it doesn't mean that the job is finished. And there may be a lot of stuff lurking in there. And so one can be proactive to process them. Usually they come by themselves. I know people like that. They just sit in there meditating and things come up by themselves. Some other people, they don't come up by themselves. They're so pushed down, so might need to stir them up. That's for me. Or life brings up shitty suffering, and you have no choice but be faced with this stuff. So now, of course, somebody else, I'm answering you, House of the Beloved. Somebody else who didn't have this experience then is in a different position to process pain body and trauma. Yeah, so depending where we are, depending of the quality of stability of our witnessing, processing looks different. So, all right. So you said that sometimes you have these waves of deep emotion come up, and then you go in the woods and the forest, and then you allow them. But then you're saying that you pop into this observation mode. So the witnessing. So we are taking refuge in awareness, and somehow this shuts off the emotion. That's what you're saying. And you were wondering if that somehow by popping into this observation, somehow this shuts off the emotion, and it might be better to stay more with the emotions. So, yeah, yes. Um, you know, staying as the witness is a very noble and an advanced stage. And it actually, from an angle, is very safe because it's obvious that these things are not me, and there's a distance from me as the witnessing presence and all of these feelings and this or that. And this is very important for this to be experienced, because without this differentiation, this neti, I'm not these emotions, I'm not these things. Um, One is identified, and it's hard to is identified, and it's in a mumbo jumbo of a washing machine of pain body. So okay, but as this witnessing position is recognized and established, then, as they say in the tantric non-dual or Kashmir Shaivism or other traditions, now go into the emotion, let them devour you, let them, it's safe to feel them. Don't, it happens to me often, go into the popping into a witnessing mode, and then the things subside, and it's like, oh yeah, well, that's great, it passed, I'm good, yeah. But there's much more there, so for someone like yourself, yeah, it and there's much more there. And the fact that it subsided, doesn't mean that it's finished. So also there's this danger or this trap, like especially if we have a quiet mind and there's a deep presence and there's an emotion comes and we just feel the emotion. Well, the thing is that although we may not have thoughts, there are some hidden thoughts in that emotion. And also, yeah, so there are hidden thoughts. There is a body, feeling, mind connection. So it is useful to somehow mine out. There is a thought that is not made conscious in the emotion, and it's important to make the thought conscious. For instance, like there's sadness, and to even be like, I'm sad, to make conscious the thought, I am sad. Of course, it's a thought. The real I is the awareness that is aware of this, I am sad, or I'm afraid, or I am alone. To make conscious this thought and not to dispute it, not to challenge it, not to try to get rid of it. Scott Kiloby would say, can you stay with this thought, especially important thoughts like, oh, nobody loves me. Thoughts like, I will never have a good relationship. I am alone. Nobody cares. I hate them. So some thoughts like that may come. And these are very important thoughts. It's good to slow them down and to witness it one at a time. As Scott would say, as if this thought I'm so alone, or nobody cares. To watch it as if this thought is the only child in the universe, and not to abandon this child. Yeah, because these thoughts, usually we squirm away from them because we're like, I don't like it. So to it's like, it's too painful. So I'm just staying with the emotion and I'm rejecting the thought, and then yeah. So trying to stay with the thought one at a time. There are other tools, especially people that are familiar with the KI, to really almost like rev it up, to make it conscious by repeating it. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I am sad. I'm so sad. But being aware of the words, as if the words are saying themselves, and also being aware of the energy and of the words. So making the thought conscious, actually it brings up more of the emotion out, and then it really allows it to be released. Yeah. So my point here was to, even if there seem no thoughts and there's an emotion, it's good to check out for hidden thoughts in the emotion. Like, I was working with someone, I was the client, and I would really be in touch with this contraction, and then it thaws out into I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad, and then I'm sad because, and then wait, and let's see if this sadness were to speak, what would it say? Or I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. And if this fear were to speak, what would it say? So now allowing these like exiled parts of ourselves, and what would it say? And then it will say, I'm sad because, in my case was like, well, because it is over. It is over. That relationship, it is over. And when I would say this thing, it is over, then like more emotion will come, which was there. Or I'm sad because that was the last time we held each other in the night. Sadness, grief, yeah, which was there. I'm sad because I miss her. I am sad because I'm alone. Each one of these thoughts are very important to make conscious. If I don't make them conscious, I notice in my experience that pain file is not fully seen. Yeah. So my point here is to bring to awareness the thought aspect and the emotional aspect and the sensation aspect of that particular file of pain body. Yeah. All right. Also, for you, the house of the beloved, you are talking about having emotions, yeah? Emotions, like the emotions are flowing. This is already very good, For many people, there's no emotion. It's like a tension or contraction or tightness or burning. I even have now. I wake up. I don't wake up like, oh my God, I'm so sad. No. I wake up, mind is clear, everything's good, but some burning in my chest or contraction in the gut. Yeah, I know from years of somatic processing that, well, that burning in my chest is not just sensation. That's what I made a mistake in the past in non-duality. They would say, well, can you see that that's just a sensation? It's a sensation. It's not I, it's not me. Let it be as it is. I'm the awareness allowing this sensation. This is true. Buddha said that. Yeah, this sensation, it's not I, it's not me. It comes and goes. But that's not the whole enchilada, as Francis used to say. I verified that burning, it's a sensation. It's like a pain coming out just a little bit. But underneath, if I open the cap on it and I do some somatic inquiring, that there is Basically, this is the repression, years of repression and suppression, that the emotion is not felt, and it's felt as a contraction, as a sensation. For other people, the emotion has been suppressed and repressed so much that actually it's chronic pain, asthma, back pain. It seems like there's no emotion at all. It's just physical. Yeah, Scott talks about it all day and all night. So our discovery is that one needs a particular kind of tools and wisdom, practical wisdom and tools to unpack my burning in the chest, to open it up into sadness, fear, anguish. I'm alone. I'm sad. Don't go. Don't leave me. Baby trauma, this or that, which now thaws out, this term from Scott Kiloby, thawing out contracted emotion, in a contracted sensation into the emotion. So now it's no longer contraction. Now it is sadness, there's tears, there's fear that is welcome, allowed in awareness. It's hard to do this alone. From my experience, I needed to work with someone for quite a bit to be able to do it alone. And now I can do it alone, very deep. But when I work with someone, I went much deeper with Darby, much deeper. So, and everybody I talk to, sometimes clients, they come to me and they say, hey man, I'm trying to do this self-facilitation KI on my own, but when I work with you, it goes much deeper. I'm like, yes, I know, the same for me. Yet, self-facilitation is very, very helpful and useful. Okay, so after the last video, I think the part 3, I had an ayahuasca journey with a friend of mine. It's a Bolivian shaman, very, very good friend and loving, skilled. So that helped. And I think other people ask here, so psychedelics, I haven't messed with psychedelics for fun in my life. I was lucky. For many years, I did no drugs, no nothing. For many years. So, which is good, because many people in America and California, they start smoking weed, doing all these things when they are like teenagers, and that creates a lot of problems. So it's better to wait if possible. So I started to smoke weed and smoke tobacco, and anyway, go into psychedelics late, mid-30s. Anyway, so ayahuasca, mushrooms, MDMA, peyote, wachuma, 5-MeO, and other ones, ketamine. They are, in my book, these are like God-given somehow helpers to help in the process of healing, and they are to be respected. There's a kitty here. I'm at a friend's house. So these are very powerful. And actually, for me, whenever I did first time ayahuasca or the first time MDMA, it was all the time in not for fun. It was with a guide for purposes of processing, intentional, blindfolded, in the dark, intentional container, safe container, preparation, sessions before, session after. So that's the way to go, guys. Don't fuck with it. Okay, so if it's done wisely and respectfully, and with someone that is skilled and someone who has walked the territory, yeah, it's not just like a wannabe healer to feel important or something, dabbling in it. Anyway, the substance actually very likely is going to pop up the repression barrier and bring up pain body that has been repressed, painful memories, painful, atrocious things, it's going to bring it up to your face. And depending on the substance, it can bring it to you in a loving way, like MDMA tends to bring it, trauma and intense trauma, in a way that's really manageable, surrounded by a field of love and acceptance, which is helps to recontextualize the pain. Mushroom, it can bring it to you like really like you are eaten by the demon. So it can be really, really intense, big dose of mushroom. The same as ayahuasca, the same as other things. So it can bring it to you either gently or really intensely. And so here it's important for one to already done some somatic work to welcome feelings, to not resist it, to like give it a voice, to let it happen. Feel it. It's okay to feel it. I want to feel this. When my whole system is like, no, I don't want to feel it. So, because if we're not trained, it may bring this, and it evokes deep resistance. And now you are fighting with yourself, and it's really uncomfortable, really bad, especially with mushrooms or other stuff. However, if one is serious about facing this stuff, it is helpful, because it pops up the pressurized can of worms, and then I start to feel it, I start to understand it, and ultimately there should be follow-up integration. So for me, this abandonment, attachment, disruption, baby trauma stuff, I wasn't aware of it. It came first time when I was 30 something in the MDMA journey, as a wordless distress, like fucking panic, and like I don't want to feel it, mixed with big resistance. I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to feel this. I want to take refuge in awareness, and I want to just, yeah. So this stuff help processing trauma and emotional repression, provided that you also not rely just on those. So they can be a little helper in the context of serious somatic work. So ayahuasca, actually, for me now, a few days ago, it was very helpful. Usually it takes like 20-30 minutes for it to take effect, but my thing was so on top that it's just cried and cried and cried. Usually I'm busy, so I don't have time to cry, you know what I mean? So just sitting there for 5 hours, that was good. But more than just crying, I could see, okay, so I was talking in this previous sadness and all of that, but no, there's underneath the sadness, there's fear, and there's this baby trauma and child trauma, and there is the so-called abandonment, and the not wanting to let go. Don't let me go. Don't. Although I have left countless relationships, as I became more conscious and I started to feel, I felt left. I left myself. I felt the separation. Each time I left anybody, any woman, I did this to them, and I did it to myself once again, what happened to me. Yeah. So anyway, it brought this also the sense of a deep holding on to that relationship, which is the baby holding on to it, so that I don't feel that loss. I don't feel the that's what happens with baby death, loss. It's like a that it's like a shocking, dying fear, anguish. Trying to put words to some states, guys. So ayahuasca brought this holding on to hold on to that person, which is a wonderful person, is a wonderful, wise, loving, deep soul friend. But the baby is holding on to that person and to other people before to not feel. You guys had any experience of that? You know what that is. And so the ayahuasca, and it's hard to go into this by myself. It's hard. It's so deep. So that brought it forth, and then, you know, as you guys know, ayahuasca is some purging. So it was some purging of that, and after that, somehow it took a lot of the edge off, and there was more of acceptance and of the situation, and more of a different seeing, and big release. But then, you know, that's what also I understood in ayahuasca. Hey, man, it's not like I'm drinking ayahuasca now and this grieving and the trauma behind it is going to go away in one shot. No, it was obvious. It's like, dude, this is going to be a few weeks or a few months, and I want to do it, and seeing the cost of not doing it. And I want to say this here. I became increasingly aware of how much suffering and pain I have unwillingly inflicted on many wonderful women who loved me sincerely and offered their heart to me and their body, and unwillingly my trauma rejected them and abandoned them. And I'm deeply aware of the pain that I have unwillingly caused. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I can see how I was doing it to myself. I'm doing it to them. I'm doing it to myself. Non-duality, right? And I'm just heartfelt, like, apology. It's not that it's going to do anything, but at least, and I'm sure that I am not alone. Like many men, I as all men, yeah, I as all men, I see the atrocious pain that I have caused women by not just abandoning them, but by using them to alleviate my pain, my selfishness, my using them, my lack of feeling, I have done this, and we are doing this as men, and I, as all men, I own and I see that, and I'm really very, very sorry, and I as all men, ask for forgiveness, and I vow to do better, because just an empty apology does shit, man. If I do the same thing over again, I'm sorry is like shitty without change. So I vow to do better. And the way to do better is to process my trauma and to get more awake and to feel, because then if I feel, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. So, and I know that there is a collective dark shadow of the feminine, and the feminine, of course, has been hurt for millennia and used and abused and hurt, and like, of course, that they are going to hurt back. Yeah. So I know, but I'm doing my part here, and I'm doing my best to help men to stop hurting women, and I'm doing my best for me to stop running fucking programs and to help women heal from these unconscious men, and to be strong and wise and loving, and for men to be strong and wise and loving. And all right, I think that's pretty good. My first YouTube video live. I put here in the comments, I put my website and all of that, but on top of the website, I put Scott Kiloby's website, not because he pays me to do that, but because I couldn't have got to this stuff without that technology, KI. And I wouldn't have been able to just fucking be here live, being real and honest and vulnerable without his modeling of that as a teacher, as an author, as an enlightened, whatever that means. And I know there are many other teachers out there who are like hiding under this facade of I got it all together and I'm not real, or like, hey, this is personal, I'm just dealing with the impersonal, and I have shit in my life but I don't want to talk about it, and I lie and I hide and I do addictions but I don't talk about it. And my first teacher, for whom I'm grateful, and I brought him to my life, my first teacher in this life, had serious issues that I downloaded into me. It got increasingly better. So I'm putting Kiloby's site, and also because it's not just his site and work with him, but he's also training. He's not working with clients anymore, but he's training people to do this work. He's training countless people to do this work. And also there's a wonderful KI community where we can all share like this, man, and help each other hold space and process. And it's so fucking cheap and affordable and precious to me. So thank you for all of you who are doing the work, whether you're doing KI or something else, and feel free to share any comments or any topics of interest that you want. And also, if you are, I'm starting a group module soon on the 16th of March this year, both in person as well as on Zoom. I think there's a video where I announced this group module, 10-week group module. Try to make it very affordable. I'm not turning anybody back, lack of funds. And so you can let me know, join it, so we can do this together. All right, thank you. I love you. Ciao, ciao.